Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Reading. Today I will be reading SCP-1627, Mushroom Wars. Object Class, Euclid. SCP-1627 is a species of fungus superficially resembling fly agaric mushrooms, Amanita muscaria. The species can cause vomiting, internal bleeding, blindness, and hallucinations if ingested. SCP-1627's anomalous effects manifest as a result of ritualistic behavior composed of the following criteria. 1. SCP-1627 comes into contact with human blood. 2. SCP-1627 is ingested by a human subject. 3. SCP-1627 is ingested in the absence of direct sunlight. If a subject ingests the fungus without meeting all of the previously mentioned requirements, said subject will experience SCP-1627's non-anomalous toxic effects. Once subject meets the above requirements, that subject will be transfigured into either an instance of SCP-1627-Alpha or an instance of SCP-1627-Bravo. SCP-1627-Alpha Information. Alpha refers to persons who have completed the aforementioned ritual successfully with their own blood. Upon the completion of the process, any damage present within the individual's body will be completely healed. This includes tissue damage, bacterial and viral infections, and cancer. Alpha subjects are unaffected by pathogens as well as being able to survive without food or water for extended periods of time. Instances can only be distinguished from non-anomalous humans by the faint presence of a white glow emanating from their bodies, which is present when they are put into areas with illumination measuring no more than 10 lux. When a human being comes into direct skin contact with an instance of Alpha, all damage and infections present within them will be healed. Over the course of the following 2 weeks, that subject will experience rapid senescence until death, often by natural causes associated with old age. This appears to give nourishment to the Alpha instance. SCP-1627-Bravo Information. Bravo refers to persons who have completed the aforementioned ritual successfully with a different person's blood. Upon the completion of the ritual, the subject will experience uniformly dark pigmentation across its entire form of 2 points of light located on its upper half, which appear to function as eyes. Subjects will also enter into a semi-solid state, and while resting appear to be formless. Specimens of Bravo are sentient and sapient, as well as being capable of vocalizing. Very rarely do individuals retain their original personality after the transformation. Instead, instances will display predatory behavior. These organisms will often kill their prey via suffocation after entering into their respiratory tract. Once their target is dead, Bravo will invade the corpse and consume the victim's cardiovascular, nervous, and reproductive systems, as well as excreting preservatives into the rest of the organism's tissues in order to prevent decay of the corpse. Instances of Bravo will inhabit human corpses in order to blend into populated areas. Organisms tend to live in groups of 3, but have been found living alone and in groups of up to 7 members. While Bravo cannot hold a consistently solid humanoid form outside of a corpse, it may remain within a host body indefinitely. Alpha and Bravo appear to be invulnerable to physical damage. However, both groups are susceptible to starvation within 3 weeks. In addition, if instances of Alpha and Bravo are brought together, both subjects will die immediately after making contact. The cause of this is currently being studied. SCP-1627 was discovered on April 6, 1995 in the small secluded mountain town of Tennessee, United States of America, after agents received reports of people of shadow and light coming out from the nearby forest. Within the town, several groups had formed based on reactions to the entities, with the largest groups being the Daylight Huntsmen, the Brotherhood of the Night, and the Enders. See the attached history file 1627 Theta and incident report 1627 Alpha for greater detail. History file 1627 Theta. SCP objects involved, SCP-1627. Groups of interest involved, GOI 187, Daylight Huntsman, GOI 188, Brotherhood of Night, GOI 189, Enders. Summary. Citizens of Tennessee, USA, came into contact with SCP-1627 when a group of people identifying themselves as the Cult of the New entered into town square at 10 p.m. on February 14, 1995, and performed the SCP-1627 ritual on their members, creating several instances of -Alpha and -Bravo. A few members of the cult attempted to speak a message of power and evolution. In the midst of this, a riot started among the crowd, which resulted in the death of all members of the cult and several civilians. Within the next day, several groups formed among the citizens of the town, the largest and most prominent of these being GOI 187 through 189. These groups gained control of the town over the course of 2 months and grew more and more unstable until Group of Interest 187, Daylight Huntsman Information. GOI 187, Daylight Huntsman, was organized by Regis Newman as a group of people who had decided to support the -Alpha instances and actively attempted to combat -Bravo. Due to -Bravo's hunting and killing methods, members of the group usually wore gas masks and were extremely hesitant in trusting people outside the group. It is reported that prior to Foundation containment of SCP-1627, these individuals refused to interact with persons that weren't in the group and often did not let anyone else join. As part of a larger initiative, these members also actively destroyed all methods of communication, including phones and internet, as well as ensuring no citizens left the city after initial exposure to the anomaly in order to halt the spread of -Bravo outside of the town. Out of the 3 most prominent groups during this time, GOI 187 was the most noticeable and prevalent due to their equipment and methods of operation. When members of this group identified -Alpha instances, they invited them to join in their ranks while making sure to not touch them. Due to the group's full-body outfits, distinguishing between anomalous and non-anomalous individuals was challenging. Whenever members from this group successfully capture members of GOI 188, Brotherhood of Night, they use them to feed the -Alpha instances among their ranks. Members of this group were reported to have searched random houses in order to identify and capture members of GOI 188 and -Bravo instances. The people captured were often executed via incineration in the town's crematorium. Members of this group also tended to ignore GOI 189, Enders, because it just seemed like another crazy fucking cult whose bullshit they had to wade through. Group of Interest 188, Brotherhood of Night Information. GOI 188 was formed under the leadership of Martha Grand, with the premise that -Bravo was the next step of humanity. This group's stated purpose is to aid in the spread of -Bravo, either through the SCP-1627 ritual or assisting the entities in finding food and corpses to inhabit. However, due to the radical actions taken by members of GOI 187, Daylight Huntsman, a large portion of the membership of the Brotherhood came from townspeople who were displeased with the changes the Huntsman had made. Members of this group are typically reclusive due to the methods utilized by the Huntsman. However, they also willingly gave up their own bodies for use by -Bravo if needed. Relations of this group with GOI 189, Enders, were virtually non-existent due to the massive number of small cultist groups that had formed in the town during this time. Group of Interest 189, Enders Information. GOI 189 Enders was formed by Lars Peterson in response to the SCP-1627 ritual in the town square. This group formed their own religion around the concepts of Dash-Alpha and Dash-Bravo, with the stated core principles consisting of balance and preparation for the shatter. They believed Dash-Alpha and Dash-Bravo to be the human forms of good and evil, respectively. Members insisted that these anomalies were the universe signaling that the path to end is caused by extremes. This group was generally avoided and ignored by GOI 187, Daylight Huntsman, and GOI 188, Brotherhood of Night. The major preachings of the group were about an end of times and walking down the middle. They believed that the only way to salvation was to live a neutral life, and thus only acted in a manner that could be described as such by their own interpretation. They reviled extremes, and claimed that the perfect world would consist of issues presented not in black and white, but in gray. Members also spoke of duality, and how it is better that neither side benefits than one side getting help. GOI 189 held many gatherings in a variety of places, mostly private residences, but occasionally churches and open areas, where they invited people to join them in preparation for the end and safety from the SCP-1627 entities. During these gatherings, the speakers of the group, known as equalizers, would often go out among the crowds and hold conversations in order to inform people of the group's messages. Incident Report 1627 Alpha. On April 6, 1995, Foundation discovered the town in which these events occurred after recovering several instances of Dash-Alpha and Dash-Bravo from the surrounding countryside. When agents arrived on the scene, conflict between the three groups had escalated greatly. MTF Sigma-7, aka Turn Riot at the Light, MTF Upsilon 4, aka Please Don't Touch Me, and MTF Eta-9, aka Mall Security, were dispatched to subdue the citizens and contain instances of Dash-Alpha and Dash-Bravo. At this time, members of GOI 187, Daylight Huntsman, had apparently become paranoid to the point of complete destruction of internal structure and betrayal between members. Meanwhile, GOI 188, Brotherhood of Night, had released approximately 20 instances of Dash-Bravo that they had kept hidden in order to let them freely hunt while they forced people at random to eat blood-covered instances of SCP-1627. GOI 189, Enders, had begun killing people by various means, not involving direct contact. When questioned about these actions later, members responded that they had come to the conclusion that killing was a neutral and therefore just action. Foundation agents went into the town and subdued the majority of the citizens using anomalous outbreak protocol Row 05, after which many instances of Dash-Alpha and Dash-Bravo were located and contained. All members of the town were interrogated, particularly those reported to be belonging in one of the three aforementioned groups, before being administered Class A amnestics and released. All information about the groups and events occurring within the town was gathered from the interviews, and SCP-1627 was found and contained. The species was discovered in forest, a 50-kilometer square area of wooded land, which appears to be the only location where SCP-1627 grows naturally at this time. Footnotes 1. Congenital genetic mutations are unaffected. 2. See Incident Report 1627 Alpha in the documentation of SCP-1627. 3. GOI 187 appears to be unaware of Dash-Bravo's undamageable nature. 4. See Incident Report 1627 Alpha in the documentation of SCP-1627. 5. See Incident Report 1627-Alpha in the documentation of SCP-1627. 6. See Incident Report 1627-Alpha in the documentation of SCP-1627. 7. Rationalizations for this included: it can both be merciful and malicious, and it could either kill the monsters or the people, therefore it lies in the middle. Special Containment Procedures. The forest in which SCP-1627 is located is to be secured by 50 armed Foundation personnel. The species shall be allowed to grow in the area, but only within Foundation set boundaries. D-Class testing of SCP-1627 is to take place within Site-56 in a waterproof testing chamber, after which the affected D-Class shall be left in the chamber until death. If SCP-1627 is discovered outside of this area, the previously mentioned procedures should be set in place. The town of Tennessee, United States of America, is to be quarantined and monitored until all instances of SCP-1627-Alpha and SCP-1627-Bravo are identified and neutralized. The town will continue to be observed for up to 1 year after all anomalous entities have been assumed to be deceased.